Hello my Saab friends, my name is Gary and this is my channel Weakest of Weeks. Today we'll be working on my 2008 Saab 9.3 Project Aero car that you may have seen. Go ahead, click up top. There's the playlist of basically refurbishing this car from the ground up. It's been quite a journey and it's come a long way. Well, I figured today would be a great day to show you how to remove the rear seats. I've done a previous video where I had a snippet about removing these backrest portions of it, but I forgot to film the bottom. So today I will remedy that and I'll show you how to pull these seats out. So the bottom portion, it's not difficult at all. It may seem like you're going to break a couple things, but likely you will not. And if you do, I will show you the two clips that you will need to replace. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Believe it or not, here are the tools required to complete the job. I have a very old, very beat up, long flat-bladed screwdriver. This will give us the leverage we need to compress the rear seat springs for the upper sections of the rear seat. This is an 18mm deep well. You do not specifically need it to be an impact version. This is 1/2 inch, so corresponding with that is a 1/2 inch ratcheting wrench. If you happen to have a 3/8 version, then so be it, and obviously you will only need a 3/8 ratchet, but believe it or not, this is all that is required to complete this job. To remove these back seats, you'll want to start with this lower cushion, and to do that, there is two clips that look just like this. These are used units, and they're pretty stout, but sometimes they do unfortunately break. There's one around this portion, the center of this side, and exactly the same on the opposing side. So what you can do is try to get a trim removal tool and shove it down underneath in this crevice and yank upwards, and sometimes that does the trick, but I find the easiest way to go about doing this is to actually sit in the seat and then pull upwards. There is one clip that'll be kind of in between your legs, so what you need to do is kind of raise your body up a little bit and grab on each side and tug upwards, and that clip will release. Move to the opposite side and we will do the exact same thing. With those clips released, you just lift up and finagle the cushion out. If your clip broke and you need to replace it, you can get two flathead screwdrivers, work it on each end. Now, I prefer some trim removal tools, mainly so you don't scratch up the paint. So just insert one on one side and do the same thing on the other. Work it back and forth. Releases that easily. Now on mine, it's a little raised here, the metal. I don't know if that happened when I initially pulled this out or if that was like that before. What I'll do is take a dead blow hammer like such, tap it ever so slightly to get that metal piece back down. Reinstallation, just as easy. Go ahead and push it down like that. Don't need any special tools. Give it a good wiggle. Make sure it's not loose. And there you have it. In case you're wondering, this is the underside of the seat cushion. And these clips that you may break actually go onto these metal tabs. So don't worry, you will not break the metal tabs of the underside of the seat. But if you break anything, it will likely be these clips. Going inside the vehicle, we need to remove this seat anchor right here, which is an 18mm bolt. Once you lower the rear seats by going in the trunk and pulling the levers, you will now have access to the 13mm bolts on each side of the seat section. So there's one in that corner right there, kind of by where that seat belt is, but right in there. And then of course, this one right here. So if you really must take these off, it's a 13mm, but otherwise you should be able to use a screwdriver and wedge it out of there. So basically we just need to push inwards like that and compress the spring. Before you do that, you need to make sure this wedge bracket is facing upwards. Here's a better look at that plate. Now you can see how it's not perfectly up and down in line with this section right here to slide out. But notice once we lift the seat up a little bit, it's going to change its orientation. So what we want to do is line it up as best as possible upwards, right around there. Now we're ready to use the screwdriver and compress it as best as possible to get this out of there. So once you get to this point, it's going to want to go underneath this leather piece, so just make sure it doesn't go up too far, otherwise you risk tearing this leather. Push it towards you, out and up. And in case you missed it, there's a peg that sticks out. This is a bracket that secures both sections of the seat and is the pivot point. But basically, this outer seat right here, that's the hole that goes into that peg. So once you get this section out right here, and this is what I was talking about with that bracket, you want it aligned upwards, because if it has to slide up and this bracket is facing sideways like this, it's just not going to come out. Pull this one out towards you. And again, this one has a peg, but that's the bracket that the peg goes through and that the other seat section clips into. This now can be finagled out. And this is what you're left with, both the rear cushion removed as well as the 60-40 split that folds down. Reinstallation is not that bad. Hardest part is the orientation of this bracket. So make sure you have it up and down. That way it slides perfectly into that hole right there. By some reason, if this nut loosens, take a 13mm and tighten it up, but don't tighten it up too much because you want it to have a little bit of play to it. So we'll flip this around. It's important to note there is a little plastic bushing that you'll want to place back onto this section of that stud, mainly because if it's not there, it will actually wiggle around in this seat bracket. Make sure this bracket over here with the spring is oriented correctly up and down, and line it up and then push it down. Then you need to get your screwdriver on that spring. Now it's just reverse order. Attach the seat belt itself, the locking mechanism, the 18mm nut, tighten it down, and we're done with this section. Now for this other section, it's nice. You don't have to worry about any additional seat belts because that's the center belt right there. But what you do need to worry about is this plastic piece right here that oftentimes pops out. So make sure that is right where it needs to be, right there. And spin this around and place it right onto that peg. There you have it. The back seats are back into place. Need to clean them up a little bit, but they're locked in. Now we're good to compress on the rear cushion. Before you get too carried away locking this down, make sure your seatbelt locking mechanisms are sticking through. Two right here, one right there. Back section pushed as far back as possible, and then just push down with a little bit of force. Now this back section is locked in. Here is the finalized product of the removal and reinstallation of these back seats. Now I may consider reupholstering this back cushion. It is kind of scratched up in some places and creased, but that's exactly how it was when it was in my red daily. Now, if you're not familiar, click up top here. I did recently do a video where I swapped that red car's interior into here, and now my beloved blue car right here has this pretty cool cream color, and I think the combos on both cars work out so much better. But with that being said, I definitely want to give a huge shout out to a subscriber who recommended this method, because in that interior swap video, I did a little more complex method where I took a 13mm wrench and I backed them off on both sides, and all those components kind of came apart, and I finagled all this stuff out and then reversed ordered. So I do appreciate my subscribers having my back and just spreading a wealth of correct knowledge and recommending better methods to do things, even if I go and do it the hard way. So I know I need to pay attention to the WIS, the Workshop Information System, much more, but that's what's so awesome about the Saab community, is that we all have each other's backs and we're in it for the knowledge. So appreciate the subscriber who recommended this method, so I'm able to showcase it and hopefully more people understand a better method of removing these rear seats. But with that being said, if this video helped you out, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, better suggestions on how to do some stuff, by all means, drop a comment down below. I do appreciate the constructive criticism. Also, consider subscribing. I have plenty of how-to stuff out there, and especially Saab videos. But with that being said, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you friends next time.